Real talk, the next 2 years might be the best in PlayStation history. I'm not exaggerating. From GTA 6 to Witcher 4. To games you haven't even heard of yet, these 15 titles are bringing visuals that feel illegal. Let me show you what's coming. Alright, let's talk about the game that's gonna make every X-Men fan lose their mind. Marvel's Wolverine is coming fall 2026, and it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive that Insomniac has been cooking up for years now. And look, after what they did with Spider-Man 2, I trust these guys completely. But here's where it gets crazy. They've actually developed something called blood tech, specifically for this game. Yeah, you heard that right. A whole technology just to make Logan's claws ripping through enemies look as brutal and visceral as it should. That's the kind of dedication that gets me hyped. The visuals? They're saying it's gonna surpass Spider-Man 2, which already looked insane. We're talking ray-traced reflections, next-level character models, and that signature Insomniac polish that makes everything feel like you're playing a blockbuster movie. What I love most is that they're not holding back on the tone. This isn't family-friendly Wolverine. This is the Logan we've been waiting for in gaming. The one who's brutal, conflicted, and absolutely terrifying when those claws come out. If Insomniac can nail the emotional depth they brought to Peter and Miles while delivering that raw Wolverine intensity, this could easily be the definitive superhero game. Fall 2026 cannot come soon enough. Okay, when Housemarque announces something, you pay attention. These are the maniacs who made Returnal, one of the best PS5 exclusives that nobody talks about enough. And now they're back with Sorrowos, dropping April 30th, 2026. This is a PlayStation 5 exclusive built in Unreal Engine 5, and it looks absolutely mental. We're talking thousands of projectiles filling the screen at 60 frames per second. Thousands. The particle effects alone are going to melt your eyeballs in the best way possible. What Housemarque does better than anyone is make you feel like you're in controlled chaos. Every second feels like you're about to die, but somehow you survive, and it's the most satisfying thing ever. And they're bringing that same energy to a sci-fi shooter that looks straight out of a fever dream. The thing about Housemarque is they understand spectacle. They know how to make every explosion, every enemy wave, every close call feel absolutely cinematic. And with Unreal Engine 5 giving them more power than ever, I genuinely don't know how they're going to top Returnal, but I believe they will. If you love the intensity of Returnal and want something that pushes your PS5 to its absolute limits, Sorrowos is going to be that game. Mark your calendars for April. Naughty Dog making a brand new IP in 2027? Yeah, this is the one I might be most curious about on this entire list. Intergalactic. The Heretic Prophet is their first new universe since The Last of Us, and it's going full sci-fi. We don't know a ton about the story yet, but honestly, I don't need to know much. These are the people who made me cry over a giraffe scene. I'll follow them anywhere. What we do know is the tech is going to be insane. Naughty Dog already has industry-leading facial animation, and they're pushing it even further here. We're talking photorealistic characters that blur the line between game and reality. The kind of performances that make you forget you're playing something rendered in real time. And here's what excites me most. New IP means new rules. They're not bound by Joel and Ellie's world. They can go anywhere, do anything. That creative freedom from a studio this talented is genuinely exciting. Mid-2027 feels like forever away, but great things take time. And if Naughty Dog needs that time to craft another generation-defining experience, I'll wait. I mean, what do I even say about GTA 6 that hasn't already been said? This is the most anticipated game of the decade, possibly ever. Rockstar's been working on this for years, and 2026 is finally the year we return to Vice City. The Rage 9 engine is powering this thing, and from the trailer alone, you can tell it's generational. Ray-traced global illumination. The most detailed open world ever created. And that signature Rockstar attention to detail that makes their worlds feel genuinely alive. What gets me is the little stuff. The way light bounces off wet pavement. The crowds that actually feel like real people with their own lives. The fact that every building, every street corner, every beach probably has some insane detail hidden in it. And look, we've waited over a decade since GTA 5. That's insane when you think about it. But Rockstar doesn't miss. They just don't. Every major release from them becomes a cultural phenomenon. And GTA 6 is going to be no different. Whether you're here for the case, the story, or just vibing in a beautifully realized Vice City, this is the game everyone's going to be playing in 2026. Crimson Desert might be the sleeper hit of 2026, and I genuinely mean that. Pearl Abyss, the studio behind Black Desert, is coming out swinging with this one on March 19th. The open world in this game looks absolutely unreal. Photorealistic environments, dynamic weather that actually affects gameplay, and some of the most epic boss battles we've seen in any trailer. There's literally a mechanical clockwork dragon in this game. A clockwork dragon. I didn't know I needed that in my life, but here we are. What I love about what Pearl Abyss is doing here is the scale. This isn't just an MMO spin-off, this is a full-blown action RPG with a story that actually seems interesting. They're blending open-world exploration with cinematic combat sequences that look straight out of a fantasy blockbuster. The combat looks weighty and impactful. Every swing, every dodge, every special ability feels like it has real consequence. And in a market flooded with open-world games, that kind of polish makes all the difference. If you're hungry for a massive fantasy adventure with visuals that push the PS5, keep your eye on Crimson Desert. March 2026 might surprise a lot of people with this one. CD Projekt Red is finally ready to move past Geralt. And honestly, I think we're all ready too. The Witcher 4 is coming in 2027, and this time Ciri takes the lead. And if you've played Witcher 3, you know exactly why that's such a big deal. But let's talk about what's really going to blow people away here. They're building this in Unreal Engine 5 with full nanite and lumen support. For the non-tech people, that basically means the most detailed forests, cities, and environments you've ever seen in an RPG. Every leaf, every stone, every ray of light is going to be rendered with insane fidelity. And here's what caught my attention. They're targeting 60 frames per second ray tracing on PS5. That's ambitious. That's the kind of promise that makes you raise an eyebrow and say, prove it. But after the redemption arc they pulled with Cyberpunk, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Playing as Ciri opens up so many possibilities too. Her abilities, her story, her journey as a Witcher in her own right. There's so much narrative ground to explore, and CD Projekt Red knows how to tell a story that sticks with you for years. 2027 feels like forever away. But for a new Witcher game running on next-gen tech with Ciri as the protagonist? Yeah, I'll wait. February 27th, 2026. Mark that date. Because Resident Evil 9, officially called Resident Evil Requiem, is about to remind everyone why this franchise is the king of survival horror. Capcom's doing something really interesting here. They're combining first-person and third-person gameplay into one experience. So you're getting that intimate, terrifying immersion of first-person sections, but also the action-oriented third-person moments when things get crazy. Best of both worlds. And the visuals? They're calling it spine-chilling realism. And from what we've seen, they're not exaggerating. The facial expressions on characters look lifelike in a way that's genuinely unsettling. When someone's terrified in this game, you're gonna feel it. That's the power of the RE engine pushed to its absolute limits. What I appreciate about modern Resident Evil is that Capcom actually listens. They saw what worked in Village, what people loved about the remakes, and they're evolving. They're not just making the same game over and over. If you've been following this franchise since the Mansion days or jumped in with the recent remakes, Requiem looks like it's gonna deliver that perfect blend of horror and action. Okay, this one's personal. Onimusha coming back in 2026 is something I genuinely didn't think would happen. And Capcom isn't just bringing it back, they're going all in. Way of the Sword is set in supernatural Edo-era Kyoto, and they're using Toshiro Mifune's likeness for the main character. If you don't know who that is, go watch Seven Samurai immediately. The man is a legend, and seeing his face in a next-gen samurai game running on the RE engine is kind of surreal. The RE engine has already proven itself with Resident Evil and Devil May Cry, and now it's powering a samurai action game with supernatural elements. Demons, katanas, and Capcom's signature tight combat. That's a combination that just works. What made the original Onimusha games special was that blend of action and atmosphere. You weren't just fighting, you were surviving in a world that felt dangerous and mystical. And bringing that to modern hardware with modern tech, the potential is enormous. This is Capcom swinging for the fences with a franchise revival. And after how well they've handled Resident Evil and Street Fighter recently, I trust them to nail it. 2026 is looking like a great year to be a samurai fan. Remember when Capcom announced Pragmata years ago and everyone lost their minds? That girl on the moon, the astronaut, that mysterious vibe? Well, it's finally happening in 2026, and I still have no idea what this game actually is. And honestly, that's part of the appeal. What we know is it's set on a lunar research station. There's some advanced AI technology involved, and the emotional character performances look incredible. The trailer gave us vibes, not explanations. And sometimes that's exactly what you want from a reveal. Capcom's been on an absolute tear lately. Everything they touch turns to gold, so when they're being this secretive about a brand new IP, my curiosity is through the roof. They're clearly protecting something special here. The little girl and the astronaut dynamic already has me invested emotionally, and I don't even know their names yet. That's good storytelling. That's how you hook someone without showing your whole hand. If Pragmata delivers even half the mystery and emotional weight that trailer promised, we could be looking at something really unique. A sci-fi adventure that prioritizes heart over action. In a market full of shooters and open worlds, that's refreshing. If you haven't been paying attention to Phantom Blade Zero, it's time to wake up. This game is coming, September 9th, 2026, and it's a PS5 console exclusive that looks absolutely insane. This is a Chinese wuxia action game, and the developers are calling it Kung Fu Punk. Yeah, that's a word now. And after seeing the combat, I completely understand why. The martial arts in this game look like they were choreographed by actual film directors. Every fight feels like a movie scene. They're using Unreal Engine 5 with hardware ray tracing, and the visual fidelity is ridiculous. The environments, the character models, the weapon effects, everything looks premium. This is clearly a studio that wants to compete with the big boys, and they have the talent to back it up. What sets this apart from other action games is the speed and precision. Combat looks fast, responsive, and absolutely brutal. It's giving Sekiro vibes, but with its own unique Chinese martial arts identity. And that's exactly the kind of fresh take the genre needs. S-Game is putting China on the map for AAA action games, and Phantom Blade Zero might be the one that makes the whole world pay attention. September 2026 is going to be wild. When former Witcher 3 developers start a new studio and announce a dark fantasy RPG about a vampire-human hybrid, you listen. The Blood of Dawnwalker is coming in 2026, and it's giving me everything I didn't know I wanted. The premise alone is already fascinating. You're stuck between two worlds. Human enough to walk in daylight, vampire enough to have powers that make you a threat to everyone around you. That internal conflict, that struggle between humanity and monster, is storytelling gold when done right. And these developers know how to do it right. These are the people who crafted some of the most memorable quests in Witcher 3. They understand that great RPGs aren't just about combat and loot. They're about choices that haunt you, characters you actually care about, and a world that feels lived in. Visually, they're promising full ray tracing and quality mode, and the dark fantasy aesthetic looks absolutely gorgeous. Gothic architecture, moody lighting, and that sense of dread that the best dark fantasy delivers. What excites me most is the potential for player choice here. Do you lean into your vampire nature? Do you fight it? How does the world react to what you become? Those are the questions that make an RPG memorable. If you're hungry for a dark, mature fantasy experience from people who've already proven they can deliver, The Blood of Dawnwalker deserves your attention. Team Ninja said you thought you were good at games and dropped Nioh 3 for February 6th, 2026. And honestly, I'm already preparing to die. A lot. The Nioh series has always been for those of us who looked at Dark Souls and said, yeah, but what if it was faster and had better combat? And Nioh 3 is taking everything that worked and cranking it up. New ninja stance, larger open environments, and supernatural combat effects that are going to look incredible on PS5. What I love about Team Ninja is they're not afraid to be punishing. They expect you to get good. They expect you to learn the systems, master the stances, and earn every single victory. And when you finally beat that boss that's been destroying you for 2 hours, nothing else in gaming feels quite like it. The shift to larger open environments is interesting too. Previous Nioh games were more mission-based, so seeing them expand the world while keeping that tight combat is ambitious. But if anyone can pull it off, it's this team. The supernatural elements have always been a highlight, and with next-gen hardware, those yokai encounters are going to be more visually spectacular than ever. Demons, spirits, and samurai action running at peak performance. February 2026 is stacked, but Nioh 3 is going to carve out its space. If you love challenging action RPGs, this one's non-negotiable. A World War II game starring Captain America and Black Panther? Built in Unreal Engine 5? With visuals so good people thought the trailer was movie footage? Yeah, Marvel 1943. Rise of Hydra has my complete attention. This is coming late 2026, and it might be the most visually impressive Marvel game we've ever seen. The photorealistic quality here is genuinely next level. Characters look like real actors. Environments look like film sets. It's the kind of visual fidelity that makes you stop and just stare at the screen. But what really sells me is the concept. Steve Rogers and T'Challa's grandfather fighting Hydra during World War II. That's a team-up we've never really explored in any medium. The potential for storytelling here is massive. Two heroes from completely different worlds, united against a common evil. And let's be real, there's something inherently cool about Captain America punching Nazis with next-gen graphics. Some things are just timeless. The developers are clearly treating this as a prestige project. This isn't a quick cash grab. This is a studio trying to make something that stands alongside the best narrative games out there. And with the Marvel license plus this level of visual quality, they might actually pull it off. Late 2026 is going to be competitive, but Marvel 1943 is positioned to be a showstopper. Okay, let's talk about the game that's about to make The Sims very, very nervous. Inzoi is coming early 2026, and it's using Unreal Engine 5 with metahuman technology, which means character creation that looks like actual photographs of real people. Over 250 customization options, photorealistic faces, the ability to create genuinely lifelike characters in a life simulation game. If you've ever been frustrated by the limitations of other life sims, Inzoi is answering every complaint with Hold My Beer. The thing is, life simulation games live and die on immersion. You need to believe in these little digital people and their little digital lives. And when they look this real, when their homes and environments look this detailed, that immersion hits different. From what we've seen, this isn't just a Sims clone with better graphics either. They're building their own systems, their own approach to life simulation. Fresh ideas from a studio that clearly wants to push the genre forward. Now, will it have the depth and content that long-running life sims have built up over decades? That's the question. But as a foundation, as a starting point, Inzoi looks incredibly promising. If you've ever spent hours in character creation making the perfect digital person, Inzoi is about to become your new obsession. We're ending this list with something absolutely wild. Remedy is making an open-world Control sequel set in Manhattan, and it's called Control Resonant. If you played the first Control, you already know this is going to be weird in the best way possible. Reality warping effects, Inception-style visuals, buildings that shift and twist supernaturally. That's just Tuesday in the world of Control. And now imagine that chaos spread across an entire open-world Manhattan. The Federal Bureau of Control is expanding, and so is the weirdness. What Remedy does better than almost anyone is atmosphere. They make you feel like something is wrong, like reality itself is unstable, like anything could happen at any moment. And translating that feeling to an open world is genuinely exciting. Jesse Faden with the service weapon, floating through Manhattan while buildings fold in on themselves. That's not just a game, that's an experience. The kind of thing you play and then spend weeks thinking about. And let's not forget, Remedy is coming off Alan Wake 2, which was a masterpiece. They're at the peak of their creative powers right now. Giving them a bigger canvas to work with could result in something truly special. 2026 is giving us Control Resonant, and I'm ready to question reality all over again. This is how you end a list. Absolute chaos in the best way. That's the list. 15 reasons to be excited about gaming's future. Now I want to hear from you. Which game has you the most hyped? Which one's an instant pre-order? Let me know below. If you enjoyed this, a like and subscribe would mean the world. Appreciate you watching. See you in the next one.